Speaker is Bones, drove for John Masmania, and I have a hard time pronouncing his last name, so you're going to have to forgive me. But why don't Bones go ahead and start with, how did you get interested in cars?
Well, it had to be when I was 15 years old, and I didn't buy it, my uncle bought me a car. It was a 1934 Buick Limited Coupe for $35. My dad said, I won't buy you a car because you're not old enough to drive. But we were old enough to drive back then, 14 years old in California. And that's one thing led to another. I'd be out there and these guys had these Ford flatheads and we'd be going to school there, and boy, I thought that Buick had a lot of power. It was real heavy and big, and I says, let's go race. But you got to give me not a head start, but a rolling start. So this thing had so much torque. It was a straight 8 Buick. I don't know if it means anything to people with a big 5-inch long rod and all that. I would race these Fords and we'd take off, but they'd be in low gear and I'd be in second gear. And now, okay, they'll go. And boy, I could outline, they're shifting their gears, they're missing their gears. That I got hooked on racing, and then other cars I got. But then 1954, about like Jerry here, the drag ships were running already. Santa Ana and boy, I can't remember, Colton, all them places. Lyons was not open yet. They were going to open in 55. Well, that's when I started. I had a 37 Chevrolet with a 6-cylinder in it, and it was something like Doug Cook had there for a while. I could never do anything with a 6-cylinder. It just, so people would say, got to put a V8 in there, and well, the 55 Chevy came out with a V8. And I put a V8 in there, and that's history, boy. That's my favorite engine, a small block Chevy. I learned a lot working with Eskandarian. Ran the engine dyno for 7 years. I started there in 59, and I quit there in 66, and I went to work for Venolia Pistons Company, and I'm still there. And I'm 79 years old. I must be crazy. Working with these, with cars and motors and stuff, I just kept me going, and I don't know what else. My profession, it was supposed to be a machinist. I went to Douglas Aircraft Company and worked there about 6 months as a machinist trainee, and I couldn't handle that, and I'd go hang around. I was working nights, and I'd hang around Esky's shop in the daytime, and they'd be running that dyno back there, and one day Ed was standing there, and I just kidding with Ed. I says, you pay him to do that? And he says, yeah. I says, Ed, I do that for nothing. You know what he said? Come on down in the morning. And I did, and he hired me, but he paid me a little bit more than nothing. And that was an experience, and we learned a lot. In my most memorable, exciting moments with the gassers, well, I've had a lot, but being able to say, well, like Balogh was the first with a turbocharger. We were the first to put a Chrysler in a Willys. And first to go, it was Big John Masmanian's car. And first gasser to go into the 9-second bracket. And that was, other than winning some races, and Junior would beat me all the time, but I don't know why. He wouldn't let me have a head start on him. He'd always give me a whole shot. But anyhow, that's my advice to the fans. Well, boy, do what you want. I wanted to work on cars that had to have a motor, and I even fool around with grass cutters and make them go faster. Blow them up. I don't know, I was crazy. But you just do what you want to do, and it'll work out. And that's about all I got to say. I'm still doing it too, by the way. I'm still driving 41 Willys. I drive it all around. I'll be at the U.S. Nationals this year, driving the Big John Masmanian Recreation. It's a tribute car, which I almost had an accident in Bowling Green, but luckily I missed it. But the fellow I was racing, which was Freddie Bear racing the KS Pittman car, rolled it in front of me. So, but that's, in all the years I raced, that was the closest I come from having a real bad accident. I rolled the car, but just wasn't that bad. Got lions one night. Broke an axle, wheel fell off, and I went up in the air and came down. But them were the old days. Oh yeah, that's a funny story. And after it was all said and done, it was what was it? First it was Mickey Thompson. Who was the next one? C.J. Hart. He comes up to me when it's all done. I didn't have no scratches on me. He said, "Bones, I bet you're ready for a good belt." I says, "I had the best belt you could buy. We got it at the surplus store down here." He says, "No, I mean a belt." Oh, yeah, that sounds good. Okay. That's about it. Any questions?